How's it going? It's Anchorpete, and I'm pulling a Danny or a Chris here, and I'm giving you an update from my car. I am foregoing my lunch break so that I can talk to you about The Matrix Resurrections. I just watched the trailer, and I'm super, super excited to talk about it with you today. This movie, I feel, can go two ways, right? It can go the way of many long-awaited sequels like The Force Awakens, or like Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, or Blade Runner 2049, which that's kind of an exception. That's actually a good movie, but there's always this sort of like, it's been over a decade since the last movie, and we love the world, and we start to see a new generation of cast members, but it always feels like it's only being done so that the filmmakers can make more money, or the studio can make more money. I feel like with the Wachowskis, they have a bit more integrity than other filmmakers. And in this case, there's only one Wachowski that's involved. It's Lana Wachowski, and Lily Wachowski is absent from this film. I'm hoping, though, that Lana Wachowski is going to continue the story that the original Matrix trilogy focused on. And one thing that you guys might not remember or might not be aware of is that for the Matrix, there was always tie-in material too. They had the Animatrix animated movies that came out between the first movie and the sequels, and then they also had a video game which continued the story of the Matrix. It was called The Matrix Online, and it was like a massive multiplayer game. It was kind of like World of Warcraft, but it was in the Matrix itself. And that was a continuation of the story. So I learned all about this from a video from Mr. Sunday Movies. And so I want to make sure that he gets credit, him and Mason get credit for this, because this really made me excited about the Matrix Resurrections. You see, the Matrix Online game, right? They had a whole bunch of different factions. And don't worry, I'm going to talk about like the casting and what was actually in the trailer, but this is the part that I think is the most exciting for me. This is the speculation part. Like, what is this movie about? So in the online game, which was a continuation of the story, you had different factions, right? You had the humans, like the people that had woken up from the Matrix. They lived in Zion, and they could hack into the Matrix. Then you had the machines, who had been suppressing the people or oppressing the people for years or decades or centuries. But then there was sort of a ceasefire, and the machines and the humans were at like a peace, right? Then you had the Cypherites in this game, which were essentially like humans that wanted to be plugged into the Matrix, just like Cypher from the first film. Then you had the Merovingian. Do you remember him from the second and third movie? Like, he had his whole group of like programs that had been in the previous versions of the Matrix. And one version of the Matrix was like a kind of like a mythological version with a bunch of different monsters, and they were like, vampires and werewolves, and remember those ghost guys from the Matrix Reloaded? They're all from the same weird version of the Matrix that just continued on into this new version of the Matrix. Then there was this other faction. This is the one I'm really excited about that I didn't know about, and Mason mentioned it in the video, which was there's the oligarchs. And now, essentially, the oligarchs were humans that made a deal with the machines when the machines took over, and they went to help the machines. And in doing so, they were given powers, like godlike powers, like Neo-like powers in the Matrix. They lived in the Matrix with their special powers, and then what happened was, over time, their physical bodies just, broke down and, became... I'm sorry, I'm in my car, I'm rambling. It just broke down. The body's decomposed. There we go. That's the freaking word. Anyway, their consciousness lived on in the Matrix as code. And so they eventually tried to hack into the machines to recreate, to use DNA to make new human bodies. And that's what Neo is. He is one of these oligarchs that created a new human body and was like plugged into the Matrix. So I think if they play off of that in this new movie, it's going to be really interesting. I think that might be the way that they go because, like I said before, Lana Wachowski is the director and one of the writers, but there's two other writers. There is Alexander Hemon, who worked on Sense8, which is a Netflix show that the Wachowskis worked on, right? But then there's also David Mitchell. Now, David Mitchell wrote the book Cloud Atlas, which the Wachowskis turned into a movie. And Cloud Atlas, you remember it had like Tom Hanks and I think like Susan Sarandon. I don't know. I didn't get all the way through it. I'm sorry. But the idea of that book and that movie was that there were these characters that were reincarnated and you would see them in different lives, but it was like one continuous story. And I think that's what they're going for here. Now, Keanu Reeves is back. He's back as Thomas Anderson, who he was when he was in the first Matrix movie, right? He's got his John Wick look, he's got his beard, but, you know, it seems like he is Neo before he was woken up. Then you have Carrie-Anne Moss, who he runs into, looks like in a cafe. It doesn't look like she works there. I saw that there was like a purse strap, so I think he like ran into her there. They have this connection there. But I feel like it's going to mainly focus on him. Now you have new characters, and the question is, are they sort of like stand-ins or like new versions of Morpheus and Trinity? Because Jessica Henwick, right? She is one of the main characters, and you see her a lot in this trailer with the blue hair, and she has this one awesome moment where she like jumps off a building, lands on another, and then flips. Oh my God, that looks so cool. Anyway, she's kind of making it big right now. She was in the movie Underwater. I really love that movie. She was in the Iron Fist show, and she's gonna be in this Blade Runner show that's gonna be on Cartoon Network pretty soon, called Black Lotus, right? Anyway, she might be like the new version of Trinity, and it might even be possible that she kind of turns into Carrie-Anne Moss at one point. I don't know. We'll see. There was a shot where they showed like the code on Trinity's face, like the Matrix code, and so I don't know if like that's her kind of being woken up or something like that. As we know, Trinity died in the last Matrix movie, just like Neo too, so who knows if they have physical bodies. But I'm pretty sure that in the trailer it looked like Trinity was in that, like the machine tanks, you know, when you're plugged into the Matrix. It looked like she had a shaved head and she was waking up there, so who knows what's going on there. Then the other casting, you have Yahya Abdul-Mateen. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name, but you know, he's just really big right now too. He's in the Candyman sequel that just came out. He's in Black Mirror. He played Black Manta, and so he looks like he's kind of in the Morpheus role. And there's many, many shots in this trailer that look like they're an homage to the original Matrix movie. And it looks like, oh, we're going through this again. And I just hope that it's not as simple as that. I just hope that it's not like, oh, remember the Matrix? We're going to go through it again, and then Neo's going to wake up again. I want them to go deeper. I like this oligarch thing. I hope that they go in to make it look like, oh, there's a bigger picture. I want them to kind of play around with the stuff that is referenced in the Matrix Reloaded and the Matrix Revolutions. I hope it's not just like a retread. I thought it was really great that they picked that song, Go Ask Alice, you know, because there's obviously that Alice in Wonderland imagery in it, and you have the white rabbit tattoo. It looks beautiful. Keanu Reeves, I've been a big fan of him for a while, and he's obviously had a resurgence. One last thing I kind of want to mention is that there's a lot of shots where it's very sunny out, and that was one of the ways that they established that there was peace between the machines and the humans. Like at the very end of the last Matrix movie, the Matrix itself starts to look bright, right? Like the very last shot is like a bright park. And this movie has a lot of bright, this trailer has a lot of bright imagery in it. And so I think that this is like the post-machine human war world, but maybe something's getting complicated. I mean, obviously the agents are still there. They show agents in the trailer, and there's people that are running away from them, fighting them. We're gonna see what it all means this Christmas, which is pretty dang soon. So that's my rant. I'm in a parking lot. I'm supposed to be on my lunch break, but I wanted to talk to you about The Matrix Resurrections. Please let me know in the comments what you think about what I just spat at you, and what you think is gonna happen in this new movie. All right, thanks so much.